Coming up on today's episode of the Steve Freeman Podcast, we are going to talk about what it actually means to quote-unquote make it. That and some questions from my community. All that and more is coming ahead on today's episode. I'm Steve Freeman. This is the Steve Freeman Podcast, brought to you by Found.
You're listening to the Steve Freeman Podcast, the real, raw truth about the pursuit of success in music, business, and life. Here's your host, hit songwriter, multi-platinum selling producer, and serial entrepreneur, Steve Freeman.
For a couple of weeks now, I've been telling you about my friends at Found. And if you are self-employed and you have still not gone to get.found.app/Steve Freeman, I don't know. I can't do anything else for you. Found is business banking for the self-employed. It's easy to sign up. There's no credit check, no minimum balance, and no monthly fees. When you're self-employed, you know you need to keep your stuff separate. You got to keep your business stuff separate from your personal stuff. You need to track your income and in business expenses. And you got to do all the complicated self-employed taxes, which is no fun. And it's this time of year, as much as I hate to say it. Well, guess what? Found can help you take care of all that so you can focus on the parts of your job that you love. All you have to do is go to get.found.app/Steve Freeman. Now, let me tell you about some of the features. It's full-featured business banking. You get a business checking account, business debit card, direct deposit, and ATM access. It's also an all-in-one business income and expense tracker. You get automatic expense categorization. You can set up your own custom categorization rules. Plus, it will capture your receipts, note logs, and import transactions from other sources and invoicing programs. Found has comprehensive and easy-to-use tax features, including a custom tax bill calculator, dedicated tax savings account, intelligent tax withholding, and auto-generated Schedule C and in-app tax payments. It doesn't get any better than that. Wait a minute. Yes, it does, because you get real-time business reports. Keep your business safe with Found and make it easier on yourself if you're self-employed. They are FDIC insured. They get real-time transaction notifications straight to you, and it helps stay on top of any activity on your account, whether suspicious or not. Open an account for free in minutes. Found, business banking for the self-employed. Go now to get.found.app/Steve Freeman. Welcome back to another episode of the Steve Freeman Podcast. So good to have you guys here. While you're here, don't forget, rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please take 30 seconds, leave us a written review. Please leave us those 5 stars. If you're watching on the brand new Steve Freeman Podcast YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and leave us a comment. Please make sure you're following me everywhere on social media at the Steve Freeman. I've done away with email. It's gone. If you want to get in touch with me, you got questions, you want to be a part of my community, I suggest you text me. 949-577-8227. That's 949-577-8227. If you're watching on YouTube, it is on your screen as we speak. Text me, 949-577-8227. As a matter of fact, coming up later in today's episode, we are going to be answering some questions from my community. So you can see, yes, and you can ask anybody. I respond to those. I respond to the text. You text, I respond. You got a question? I answer the question. So be sure and join us and text us. I want to talk about making it today. There have been several things that have come up over the last couple of weeks where I've been answering some questions. And quite honestly, I get this one a lot. You know, how do you make it these days? What do I have to do to make it? What does my music need to sound like to make it? How many Instagram followers do I need to make it? And I got to be real honest with you. I think this is something we really need to talk about. Because, guys, there is nothing specific that you can do as an artist, as a songwriter, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur. There is no key to the kingdom. There is no right way. The main thing that I want to get across to you guys today is that success, quote unquote, making it, is completely a state of mind. It has no certain definition. It has no, okay, how do we define it? What does it look like? We've talked about this in the past. That's going to move. It's flexible. It's fluid. It never means the same thing. Success to me, or quote unquote making it, does not look for me what it may look like for you. That doesn't mean that if I achieve my definition of the term, it doesn't mean that you may look at that and go, I don't consider that making it. I may look at yours and you may be completely happy and content, and you may have achieved everything that it is that you're trying to achieve. And I may look at that and go, well, I mean, I don't really consider that making it. It's different for every single person. You can look at people, look at Elon Musk. Has he made it? I would say Elon Musk has made it. But I bet if you ask Elon Musk, he would say that he has not. Why? Because he has not accomplished everything that he has set out to accomplish. Not only that, but making it, just the phrase, it scares me to death. I hope that I never get to a point where I feel like I can say I've made it. That to me almost feels like going to the CMA Awards or ACM Awards or Grammys or whatever and getting the Lifetime Achievement Award. I always feel like when I watch the Oscars or the Golden Globes, when they give that Lifetime Achievement Award out, it means like, okay, you're done for. We don't need you around anymore. We're going to give you this parting gold watch and statue, and thank you very much for playing. So for me, I hope I don't. Matter of fact, if you've never listened or watched the episode where I had on my good friend, one of my best friends, James Otto, platinum selling songwriter, artist, all around nice guy, biggest motherfucker I know. He's huge. He's huge. I asked him that question. I asked him point blank. I said, do you feel like you've made it? You know, the guy's written multiple number one songs. Like I said, multi-platinum albums as an artist and a songwriter. And you know, he's written one of the greatest country songs of all time and in color. And his answer to me was no. I don't feel like I've made it. And matter of fact, I hope I never get to a point where I do feel like I've made it, because I don't want to feel like the journey is over. So when you guys text me or when you email me and you're asking me to put specific definitions and specific attributes on what I consider making it, it's very difficult. I do not believe or subscribe to the concept that any one person can describe that for anybody else other than themselves. There are too many ways out there that the culture that we live in today has set those parameters for us. Okay, many people don't think that you are successful if you've not achieved financial success. Others are out there, like in the music business, if you've never written a number one, you were not successful. If you've not produced a number one, then you aren't successful. And guys, I can tell you, I know firsthand, especially when it comes to the music business, I can tell you I know far more people that meet almost every definition of success that you've never heard of. So you don't have to be a mainstream name. You don't have to have number ones on Billboard to be considered successful. I went through this. I got into a heated argument with somebody a couple of years ago. We were talking and comparing resumes, if you will, which is never a good idea. Don't ever get into the business of comparing yourself to somebody else. You are not in their shoes. They are not in your shoes. It just, you cannot live by somebody else's standard. You cannot set that up for yourself that way. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to them. It's not fair to anybody. And if it does anything, it keeps you depressed and it keeps you chasing something that you're probably never going to achieve. Do not let anybody else set your standards. Do not let anybody else set your definition of success. If you do, you are setting yourself up for failure every single time. There is nothing worse in the world than living your entire life trying to live up to somebody else's expectation. And when you try to look around and let other people's definition of success and making it, when you look around and you let their definition become your definition, you are living somebody else's life. under a different set of circumstances. Most of the time, people do not have access to the same things. People don't have the same bank accounts. People don't have the same family. People don't have the same support structure. But I was getting into it. We were talking about songwriting and about producing. And this guy was telling me that if it's not on Billboard, that it doesn't matter. And when it comes to certain areas of the business in the mainstream, that can be entirely true. But then I also countered that with, okay, look, you had a top 20 on Billboard and it paid X amount of dollars. I didn't have that same top 20 Billboard, but I had a number one in 60-something countries, and it paid me 50 times what you made. So you mean to tell me that that was not a successful single for me as a writer or producer, but yours was a success because it appeared in the top 20 on Billboard in the United States? How uppity of us that we have gotten into this thing. Well, here's what we do. Here's what most people do. What we do is try to define success for other people and gauge it according to what we've managed to accomplish. What we want to make sure that we do is we want to make sure that the bar is so high that those underneath us can't fit it, can't get under it yet. They can't get over it yet, or underneath it, really. That's what we do because we're so self-centered. We're so jealous of other people that when somebody asks, most people will give you a definition of success or what making it looks like. They will intentionally give you a definition that they know you have not achieved. That's how we are with each other. We are a competitive society. We are a competitive people. We are a me people. We think about ourselves first. We live first as survivalists. Look, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there. So when I tell you to not compare yourself to somebody else's preset definition of what your success may or may not look like, the reason I'm telling you that is because they're always going to set that bar a little higher. They're always going to take that line and put it 3 or 4 steps out in front, because God forbid anybody ever admit that what you're doing is actually successful. God forbid we ever lift each other up, or we put somebody besides ourselves up on a pedestal. And I don't know why that is. I'll be honest with you. I talked with somebody a couple of weeks ago. This was interesting because I was having this big argument about nobody shares the podcast. And I'm like, why the fuck doesn't anybody share the podcast? Hundreds of thousands of people listening. Nobody shares it. And I was talking to somebody, and this person, I had to pat them on the back and give them props because they actually said this was an independent artist that says, look, I listen to your podcast because I want to get ahead. I want to know what I'm doing. I want to know what I'm in for. I want to know what I'm doing right. I want to know what I'm doing wrong. And I said, okay, great, wonderful. Why have you never shared one single episode of the podcast? We follow each other on Instagram. We're Facebook friends. So why? I've never seen you share an episode of the podcast. And this is what he said. And I applaud him for it. He said, because I don't want anybody else to have the edge. All of my friends on social media are in the same boat I'm in. They're all wannabe songwriters. They're all aspiring songwriters, aspiring artists, aspiring producers. I don't want them having access to the same information I have. I feel like when I listen to your podcast, I've got an edge. Why do I want to give that edge to anybody else? And I was like, wow, that was the most selfless thing I have heard anybody say, to actually own up to that and admit to that and go, well, this is why I don't do it. And now it makes sense. Because what I find when it comes to that, just sidebar, what I find when it comes to that is business people, entrepreneurs, and those of you that listen to this show purely for entertainment value, which go figure, thank you though. You guys share the shit out of the podcast. The music business people, the people that want to be songwriters, the art, they don't share shit. And now I know why. But when you take that philosophy and you apply it to exactly what we're talking about, When you ask somebody else, well, I mean, what do you how can I be more successful? That person's always going to tell you a bar you haven't reached. And that can be for many different reasons. There are a lot of people in our business, and one of these days I'm just going to start calling them out by name, because I'm at the point now, I live in California, fuck Nashville. I don't care. I'm not there. I don't have to do business there. I don't need anybody from there. So it's likely that in the near future, I'm going to start calling people out by name. But there are a lot of people that do that because they stand to gain financially from you not having achieved what they define as any level of certain success. If they tell you they think you are successful, then they take themselves out of a job. I'm not going to mention any names on this, but this was in the last couple of days. I've had people reach out to me about helping develop an artist. And they shared with me some details on another company or another individual that wanted to help this person, this artist. And they showed me the numbers, and it blew me away. I was like, oh my God. Well, the first thing I always say is, okay, what artists can this other person point to that he has taken where he wants to take your child? None. So you see, when you get people in this business in particular, or any other business really, very rarely are you going to get a straight answer, because too many people are making a living in this business off of you not making it. There's no money in you making it, right? All of the providers, you got all these songwriters out here charging people to write with them. I don't agree with that. I don't believe in it. I don't do it. They can make decisions for themselves, but I don't agree with it. And I have some good friends that do it. And if they want to do it, that's fine. I'm not going to do it because I just have a problem with it. I just do. But if they want to do it, that's fine. I'm going to get some shit over this, I can tell you. And I know exactly who I'm going to get shit from. It's going to be about 4 different people. Because every time I talk about this is what happens. But there are too many people that make money and make a living and an earning off of your journey, off of you not making it yet. Because that's the carrot at the end, right? The secret sauce in the whole equation is that they don't want you to make it. Because if you make it, you don't need them anymore. So be very, very, very careful who you guys trust. Again, we have a whole episode about this that we did maybe a year or so ago that talks about your inner circle. The people that you surround yourself are going to ultimately determine your success or failure. So if you want to know if you're going to make it, the first thing I would tell you to do is look at the people that are surrounding you. Are you surrounded with people who have done what it is that you're trying to do, especially when you trust these people in an advisory role? Have these people done what it is that you're trying to do? Do they know the way? I made a comment to this family the other night on the phone. It doesn't matter how nice somebody it is. It doesn't matter how well-intentioned they are. It doesn't matter how much money they have. I said, I'm sure that the captain of the Titanic was a super fucking nice guy, but he still ran into the goddamn iceberg. The ship still sank. Make sure in an advisory capacity, the people that you have surrounding you have been to the promised land. They know the directions. They've got the map. They've got the coordinates. They can put it in your GPS, and they can help you get there. From a support standpoint, make sure that you have surrounded yourself with people who their own success is not tied to your success. Because those people will push you to make decisions that you probably wouldn't make on your own because they stand to benefit. The supporting role people that you have around you are so important. Make sure that those people are passionate about you and not necessarily just passionate about what they can get from you. What can they make from you? How can you help them? It is not your job to help anybody else define making it or success for themselves. You are not responsible for anybody else's success. And if you find yourself in that situation, you need to change that situation immediately. So again, step number one, you want to know how to make it, and you got to look at the people around you. Have you surrounded yourself with people who have, by some general terms, have you surrounded yourself with people that have made it? You've got to look at that. We talked about not long ago the rule of thirds. I spend 33% of my time with people who are more successful than me, that I admire, that I think I can learn something from. I spend another 33% of my time with people that are on my level, that have my level of success, and we share ideas and we go back and forth with each other. And then I try to spend 33% of my time with people who are not at my level, because I want to help you get to my level. I want all of you to surpass me. Your success doesn't threaten me in the least. I want you to be so far more successful than I have been. It's not even funny. You guys live right now in the best time to be a business owner, the best time to be an entrepreneur, the best time to be a songwriter, the best time to be an artist than ever. I would give anything if I were in my prime years right now, because oh boy, would I make hay. I would make hay all day long. I would need the sun to be up. I would be baling it at midnight. Right now in the entertainment business, it is the Old West. It's the gold rush. All those barriers have been torn down. There is nothing standing between you and your success except for the definition and how you define the term and the people you have surrounding you. So look at those things. Know what the barriers are. You can achieve success. I don't know that all of you can achieve success by the way you're currently defining it. And that, my friend, is on you. That's not on me. That's not on somebody else that didn't do this, or this other person that said they were going to do this and didn't. I've said this before, and it bears repeating. If you want to know who is responsible for your career and your business and it getting it where you want to go look in the mirror. You should not leave your success, your future. You should not leave any of that up to anybody else. That's why so many artists fail. They think it's all about having a manager. They think it's all about having a booking agent. It's all about having the right publicist. It's all about having high social media numbers. They want to put the responsibility of their success on everybody else. I think I've told y'all before, I worked with some artists. If we just had a Prevost, if we just had this, if we just had that. If you can't be successful without having to preface it with if I just had this, or if I only had this, or if so-and-so would do whatever, there's your problem. And if you aren't every day significantly increasing the journey and closing the gap between where you are and where you want to be, you need to start having a serious conversation with that motherfucker in the mirror. Because he or she is the one that has you right where you are right now. There's nobody else to blame. I would love nothing more than to be able to tell you that it was something else. It was somebody else. Blame somebody else. It's not. So when you ask me, how do I make it? I don't fucking know how you make it. I know how I made it. Let me rephrase that. I know how I made it this far. Just like James, I hope I never make it. I'll never stop. I would not know what to do if I made it. I'd be the most miserable son of a bitch on the face of the planet. I'm close now. Friends and family will tell you I'm close now. But I would be the most angry motherfucker you've ever met in your life if I had made it. Because if I don't have 1 million things to do every minute, and my brain is not, if my brain ever got into a position where it had to turn at the speed of most people, I would probably die. In all honesty, I would probably die. You know, it's like one of those things where you hear, it's a sad story. I don't even know why I'm saying this, but I was saying, you hear all the time about these people that work their whole life and then they retire and they die 6 months after they retire. And I honestly believe it's a brain thing. It is I need my brain. I need the hamster in my brain to continue to run constantly, all day, all night, 1,000,000 miles a minute. And if it stops, I'm worried that it's somehow a chain reaction and all the organs in my body are going to stop. So I don't want to make it. Make it to me means feels like we're at the end of the line. The train has reached the station. I don't want to make it. And I hope for you that you don't either. Look, there are accomplishments along the way. There are goals along the way. There doesn't have to be an end destination. Set waypoints for yourself. Set markers and go, I can say that I made it here. And then I go to the next thing and I made it there. If you keep looking for this fairy tale end destination, it's not there. It doesn't exist. I'm here to tell you it does not exist. Every major successful artist that I know wants more. They want more fame. They want more money. They want more cars. They want more jewelry. They want more love. They want more respect. They want more power. They want more attention. They want more business opportunities. They want more roles in films. They want another TV show. I know, I look around at everybody that I know, and I keep a pretty tight circle. But I can look around and I can honestly say that I don't know anybody that's satisfied. I know people, I know several people that have way more than they'll ever need. Way more than their children will ever need. Way more than their children's children will ever need. And guess what? Still not enough. They don't look at it and say, I've made it. They get up every day and go, how can I make more? How can I make it again today? And there's these things all over TikTok, all over social media. And it's like, you know, the billionaire mindset, the millionaire mindset, and all of those different kind of things. And some of them are kind of interesting because you can see the habits, the thought habits, the actual habits of very successful people. But if you scratch below the surface and you ever really truly look at those people, they're constantly making moves. They're constantly on to the next thing. They're not resting on their laurels. They're not resting on their billions. They're not resting on their millions. There's always something else. So I would encourage you, anybody listening to today's episode, I encourage you, get the idea of making it out of your head. Because as I've said before, you might actually achieve that and it's not going to be enough. You're just going to set out another goal. You're just going to put something else out there for you to try to achieve. Making it should scare the shit out of you. Actually achieving what you define as making it should scare you. And you should hope you never get there. But what you can do is redefine that and what it means to you, redefine how it looks, so that maybe every day you can get up and go, what does making it today look like? And when you string enough making it todays together, you're going to live a pretty damn good life. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. We've talked about that, the vehicle. So many of you care which vehicle gets you from where you are to where you want to be. You feel like you need to ride in an Audi, or you need to get there in a Mercedes, or you need to get there in a Lamborghini. I'll tell you though, firsthand though, getting there in a very expensive sports car is fun. Sometimes it gets you there a little quicker. But then when I've done that in my own life, in my own career, I realized that I missed so much along the way. I can promise you your journey from where you are now to where you want to be, if you choose to allow it to, will be so much more rewarding, so much more fulfilling in the slowest fucking car they make. Enjoy every single day. Enjoy every single opportunity. Because I know that once you reach a point where you could say you've quote unquote made it, those opportunities are gone. And you can't go back and reclaim them again. That's my thought on making it. All right, I'm going to get out my phone and I'm going to look up some of the text that people in our community have been texting me. Let's see. This one comes from, well, I tell you what, I'm going to pop up this little graphic. Those of you listening, y'all don't get the value of this. If you've got questions, you want me to answer them, make sure that you text me. Become a part and a member of the community. 949-577-8227. That's 949-577-8227. This comes from Zachary Dean. Hey, brother, been thinking on podcast topics because I put this out to the community. And he said, how about qualities of a great producer and artist? Would be a great peek behind the curtain for most. All right, let me break that down real quick. Thanks, Zach, for texting me and bringing that up. I had a David Foster, many of you may know, I actually ran into at the Polo Lounge at the Beverly Hills Hotel one time, and I got a chance to talk to him for a little bit. And I asked a question similar to that. And he said that he believed that a great producer, it's not the producer's job to tell everybody in the room what to do. It's not to tell the guitar player how to play this lick. It's not tell the piano player how to play this or the engineer to do this or that. The role of a great producer is to know who to put in the room to begin with. The role of, and that's what he said. I'm going to go on with my own thing. I think that the role of a great producer is somebody who can sit down and walk the fine line between what the artist's vision is and the producer knowing what it should be. There are so many times when I've been producing a record and working with an artist that they are aiming in a direction they have no business going. So a good producer will sit down and go, I get what you're saying. I get where you want to go. And I'm all for adding some elements in there. But let's not stray too far away. I'm not saying be in the box, but I'm saying let's not go so far outside that we alienate your potential fan base or your existing fan base. When it comes to cutting records and being a producer, it's all about who to put in the room. A great producer knows what players to put in the room. I've had horror stories. I've had fistfights break out in sessions I was producing before because I put the two wrong guitar players in the same room. I did not know beforehand. I was picking talent. I knew this one was a great guitar player, great rhythm guitar player, and I knew this one was a great lead player. So I hired both of them, one of them to play the rhythm, one of them to do the lead. Well, the guy that was doing the rhythm wanted to do the lead, and the guy that was doing the lead wanted to do the rhythm and the lead, and they got into it. But guess who paid the ultimate price? I did. My artist did. The session did. We got a song and a half less that session than we should have because of the fighting. I've also had sessions where I hired a particular musician and they got all cozy cuddly with the artist and are over in a corner talking about doing this, or maybe we could do this, and taking up time in the session and trying to actually produce the session instead of doing what I hired them to do, which was show up, play the fucking guitar, and go home. So a great producer is a wrangler of people. It is knowing how to put certain things together. It is not always about, oh, I want it to sound like this. I want to put this on the dotted eighth notes. I want this. That is 15% to 20% of being a producer. Great producers know who to put in the room. Even better producers know what to do when they get those people in the room. One of the things that I pride myself on, and I've been complimented, I'm saying this, I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm just saying this is a fact. Matter of fact, somebody else said this. I believe it was Tully Kennedy from Jason Aldean's band. Said that the thing he loved working with me the most about is I allowed them to be creative. When they come in to play on a record, I know they're experienced. I know they know more about their instrument than I do. I know that they've been playing on sessions for 15 years. They've played on every hit record that's ever come out of Nashville. I don't know how many, 30-something number ones with Jason Aldean. I know to let him play the bass the way he wants to play the bass. That, I think, is that's what I've been told that makes me good. Is that because here's the way I look at it. When I walk into a session, if I put the right 5 or 6 people in that room for my artist and for the overall project, I'm putting another 5 or 6 producers in that room on that session. And each one of them are bringing anywhere from 10 to 15 to 30 years worth of experience of playing on the biggest selling records of all time. Why in the world would I need to have an ego so big that I stripped all the creativity from those people and said, play it the way that I'm telling you to play it? I also know that when I put myself in situations like that, 99% of the time, they know more than I do. Very rarely have I said, I don't really like that. Let's try this. I often don't have to do that because the players that I use most frequently, I give them enough rope to hang themselves, and I never have to say anything because after we get done doing overdubs or we get done doing a take, they'll push the talk back button and go, hey, Steve, that's kind of what I was feeling. Do you want me to do another pass or two and maybe try some other things? And that's when I say, man, that'd be great. I would love it if you do this little staccato thing on the breakdown, or I'd love you to do a rake or a slide into that second chorus. Making records, being a great producer is about knowing how to be a good collaborator. It's about knowing how to work with other people, not how to work other people. That's my 2 cents anyway. As far as what makes a great artist, originality, unique. It's why there's not 2 Billie Eilishes, there's not 2 Adeles, there's not 2 Elton Johns, there's not 2 Bruce Springsteens. There's not 2, who else? I'm leaving a ton of people. Rod Stewart. There's not 2 Journeys. I've worked with Jonathan King. He's a genius. That's what makes an artist great. Being unique, not following the trend, doing something off topic and out of the box, and continuing to do it long enough to where it comes around to being popular instead of just trying to jump on the popularity train from day one. Here's one from Christy Buckner. Hi, Steve. Was wondering, since you have been in this business for a while, if you could discuss what you think may be next for Morgan Wallen since the fallout and since your last podcast. There's a lot of speculation that he will be back. Most of us hope he will. But I wanted to get your take on it, please, and thanks. Morgan's going to be fine. Morgan's made more money since he said the N-word than he had before. So, look, he's going to be fine. He didn't get dropped from his record label. He didn't get dropped from his booking agency. Don't believe any of that stuff that you read. Morgan Wallen's going to come back bigger and better than ever. Matter of fact, speaking of Jason Aldean, he was on somebody's podcast the other day. They asked him who his favorite artist out right now was, and he said Morgan Wallen. The PC Police, like I said in previous episodes, the PC Police absolutely positively did not win on this one. Real people won on this one. Real people watched the video footage, they heard the audio, and real people made the determination that this guy's not a racist. He's going to be fine. As soon as COVID is over and people are back and live music is back, you'll find Morgan Wallen coming to a city near you. So don't worry about Morgan. Don't feel sorry for him either. He got caught in an unfortunate situation, yes, but look, financially, he's fine. Career-wise, he's fine. There's going to be an even bigger demand for him now than there was before. So don't worry about that. I'm going to start trying every episode to answer some of these questions that the members of my community send in. If you would like to be a member of the community and have direct access to me, it's text. So when you text, I get it. I text back. The number is 949-577-8227. You can see it right there on your screen if you're watching on YouTube. Again, 949-577-8227. You can also find that number in the link to on all of my social media profiles. And you can find all of those at the Steve Freeman. Guys, thank you for joining me for another episode. It's Good Friday. It is Good Friday. So whether or not you believe, whatever you believe, for those of you that do, happy Good Friday. I hope you have a great weekend. Hope you have a great Easter Sunday. God bless every single one of you. I love and respect and want the world for everybody that's listening or watching the podcast. Don't forget, new content coming to my main YouTube channel. You'll find that link in the bios and the show notes everywhere as well. Guys, today's podcast has been brought to you by Found, small business banking for the self-employed. You can sign up in minutes. No minimum deposit, no monthly fees, no credit check. If you are self-employed, get yourself over there and sign up at get.found.app/Steve Freeman. Guys, until the next episode, dream big, work harder.
Systems initiated. You are listening to the Empire Podcast Network.